Welcome to Life Stories, where we share tales of resilience, hope, and the power of love. Today, we bring you the incredible journey of Emily, a girl who was abandoned at birth by her own parents, but against all odds, grew to become a successful artist and model. Despite facing cruelty and rejection, she found strength within herself and a family who loved her unconditionally. Her story is a powerful reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is always the possibility for a brighter future. Don't forget to subscribe to Life Stories and join us as we begin today's story. It was the day Emily was born that the world as she knew it took its first harsh turn. I was there in the hospital room when she arrived. Tiny and fragile, cradled in the arms of Dr. Stevens, her first caretaker. The doctor's face, usually filled with the joy of a new life, was instead painted with an odd mix of concern and sympathy. She was beautiful in her own way, though different from the perfect picture the world often expects from newborns. With her tiny hands and twisted fingers, her swollen face and the odd marks scattered across her skin, she didn't quite resemble the picture-perfect babies you see in magazines. And that was where the problem began. Her parents, Sarah and James, stared down at her, their expressions twisted with confusion and, I dare say, fear. Sarah, who had imagined holding her perfect daughter, unable to mask the worry, asked softly, "Is she all right?" Her voice quivered, a touch of doubt weighing down every syllable. Dr. Stevens, trying to offer reassurance, answered, "She's perfectly healthy, she just looks a bit different from what you might have expected." But Sarah and James couldn't hear the reassurance in her words. All they saw was their daughter's odd, twisted hands and her face, which was puffy and strange. Their eyes were filled with anxiety, their brows furrowed in silent horror. As the days passed, it became painfully clear how far Sarah and James had already distanced themselves from the little girl they had brought into the world. I watched as they avoided her gaze, their touch hesitant, as if they feared the very thing they had created. Their home, which should have been filled with excitement, now felt eerily quiet. The nursery, once prepared with pink walls and soft toys, now seemed almost hauntingly empty. It was a place meant for a little girl, but it had become a room full of unspoken tension. It was not just that they had trouble accepting their child. It went beyond that. They barely spoke to her. They didn't cradle her or sing to her like parents do. They didn't even give her a name. A decision that hit me with a sharp pang in my heart. There was a certain cruelty in how they treated her, cold, distant, as if she were an inconvenience, a mistake they couldn't bear to face. It was as though the love they had for their child had been replaced by a deep, almost fearful rejection. And so, on the third night, in the dead of night when the world was still, Sarah and James made their choice. With trembling hands and heavy hearts, they drove their baby to an orphanage. They left her there, right at the gate, with nothing more than a note that read, "We cannot take care of her. Please find her a good home." I remember feeling the weight of that moment, the cruelty of abandonment. As they drove away, their backs turned on the little girl who was completely unaware of the pain her parents had already inflicted upon her. What they didn't know, as they left, was that Emily, though abandoned and unloved by them, would grow up to become someone remarkable. And while they thought they were abandoning a broken child, they were letting go of someone destined to shine brighter than they could ever imagine. Emily's early years in the orphanage were far from easy. The other children, much like the world outside, were quick to judge her for her appearance. They called her the clumsy one and the squinty one, mocking her twisted hands and the peculiar marks on her skin. It was as though they could only see what was on the outside, not the vibrant and loving spirit that resided within her. Despite the cruelty she faced, there was one person who saw past the surface and recognized Emily's worth. Miss Linda, the kind-hearted caretaker at the orphanage, was always there to offer her comfort and encouragement. Miss Linda was the kind of person who saw the beauty that others failed to notice. And she made it her mission to ensure Emily knew she was special. I remember Miss Linda telling Emily, in the most tender of voices, "There's something magical in you. Darling, you shine brighter than any star in the sky. Don't let anyone make you feel less than you are." It was because of Miss Linda's unyielding faith in Emily that she was able to grow stronger despite the challenges. Emily's resilience became evident over time. When the other children laughed at her attempts to write, she worked tirelessly, hour after hour, practicing until her scribbles turned into beautiful letters. When they played sports and told her she couldn't participate, she invented her own games that she not only excelled at but also enjoyed deeply. She became a champion at hopscotch and shadow tag, proving that her spirit could never be broken, no matter how hard life tried. But even the bravest souls have their moments of doubt. When Emily was 8 years old, a new girl, Chloe, arrived at the orphanage. Chloe, upon seeing Emily's face, screamed in horror and ran away. The sting of rejection cut deep. And Emily, heartbroken, retreated to the bathroom to hide her tears. Miss Linda found her there, holding her close, as though the world could not touch her in that embrace. "Do you remember what I always say?" Miss Linda asked gently, her voice a soothing balm to Emily's wounded heart. "True beauty comes from within." Emily, wiping away her tears, nodded quietly. She knew Miss Linda was right. It wasn't her appearance that made her special. It was her heart. And with that newfound strength, Emily made a decision that would shape her life forever. She would no longer let others' cruel words define her. She would be kind to every new child who came to the orphanage. No matter how they reacted to her, she would greet them with a warm smile and an open heart, showing them the love and empathy that she herself had been given. Emily, though still young, became the orphanage's unofficial welcome committee, her smile a beacon of warmth in a place that often lacked it. She knew, even then, that kindness and love had the power to heal wounds deeper than any cruelty could inflict. As the years passed, Emily blossomed into an extraordinary young woman. The girl who had once been rejected and abandoned was now a talented artist, her unique perspective shaping stunning sculptures that captured the imagination of anyone who laid eyes on them. It was as if her hands, which had once been seen as a flaw, now held the power to create beauty that no one else could replicate. Her sculptures were a wild blend of people, animals, and abstract shapes, all shimmering with the colors of the rainbow, a testament to her creativity and resilience. One day, an art gallery owner named Mrs. Donovan visited the orphanage, seeking new talent for her upcoming exhibition. When she saw Emily's sculptures, she was immediately captivated. "There's something magical in your art, Emily," Mrs. Donovan said, her voice filled with awe. "It's as if you're showing everyone how beautiful and amazing it is to be different." Emily was offered the opportunity to showcase her work at Mrs. Donovan's gallery, and the exhibition titled "Different is Beautiful" was a resounding success. The colorful sculptures, each telling its own story, moved people deeply. Critics, local residents, and even a few celebrities came to admire Emily's creations. It was a moment of validation that she had longed for, but had never expected to receive. As the night of the exhibition wore on, a woman with striking purple hair approached Emily. "Hi, Emily," she said with a warm smile. "I'm Jasmine, and I work for a modeling agency. We specialize in models who look different from the rest. We believe that being unique is beautiful. And I think you would be perfect for us." Emily stood frozen, the idea of becoming a model almost too surreal to grasp. She had never imagined herself in front of a camera or on a runway. Yet the invitation felt right. It was as if her life, once filled with rejection and pain, was finally offering her a chance to shine in a new way. With a deep breath, Emily agreed to pursue this new path. She began participating in photo shoots, modeling the most fashionable clothes, strutting down runways, and even gracing the covers of magazines. People around the world fell in love with her unique image, and she became a symbol of beauty in diversity, showing others that there was power in being different. But fame came with its own set of challenges. One day, Emily was reading online comments about her latest photo shoot. Most of the comments were kind and supportive, but one stood out: an accusation that anyone who would abandon a child must be a terrible person. The words hit her like a punch to the gut. It was the first time in years that she had been reminded of her painful past. and it stirred up emotions she had long buried. Determined to understand her past and find the truth about her biological parents, Emily decided it was time to uncover the answers. She hired a private detective named Jack Monroe, who was known for his tenacity in solving cold cases. Jack began by reviewing the records at the orphanage, focusing on the note that had been left with Emily. Despite initial setbacks, Jack's persistence eventually led him to a breakthrough. He discovered a birth certificate for a girl born around the same time Emily was left at the orphanage. And the parents listed on the certificate were Sarah and James Bennett. When Emily finally stood in front of the house that could have been her childhood home, her heart pounded in her chest. She was no longer the scared, abandoned child she once was. Now, she was a confident woman, someone who had fought for her place in the world. Taking a deep breath, she knocked on the door. Sarah and James opened it, and their expressions were ones of shock and disbelief. They had never expected to see her again. "Hello, I'm Emily," she said, her voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside her. "I believe I'm your daughter." The silence in the room was heavy, broken only by Sarah's trembling voice. "This can't be true." Inside, the house felt cold, filled with family photos, but none of them included Emily. The emptiness of the space mirrored the emptiness she had felt in her heart for so many years. Yet, as they spoke, Sarah and James admitted their guilt and expressed deep regret for their actions. "I didn't come here for revenge," Emily said softly, her gaze unwavering. "I came to show you that the child you abandoned has grown into someone beautiful, inside and out." As she left, she felt a quiet strength, a sense of closure she never thought possible. If you've enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to Life Stories for more inspiring videos. Thank you.